Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our MPC online Tuesday night Bible study. Tonight it's slightly different because the church on this Tuesday night are having their annual general meeting every year. And so it's not our usual Tuesday night Bible study that we normally have. On these occasions, what I normally do is just present something of the vision of the church, where I feel that God is leading us coming into the coming year. And so what I want to do just for tonight, for those of you who are mainly visitors and for church members as well, is just kind of give you a bit of a flavor of where things are at as a church and where I feel God is leading us as a church as we come into this year and the coming 12 months as well. And hopefully, my hope is this, that if you are not part of a church, if you're not connected with a church and you're looking for a church family to belong to be part of, then consider MPC. I'll ask you to consider that if you live in the Mansfield, Nottinghamshire area. If you're looking for somewhere to belong, there's plenty of vision here to be part of. And I believe that God's desire and God's will is that for all of us to be connected and to be planted and be part of a local Christian community where we can grow in our faith and mature in our walk with God and actually fulfill God's calling on our life, because we can't do it on our own. We need a Christian community to actually live out God's call and purpose for our lives. Now, in ancient Greece, there was a famous storyteller by the name of Aesop. And he wrote a series of fables or stories called Aesop's Fables. And he tells a story of the crow and the pitcher. And obviously the pitcher is like a vase in which kind of water is put in. And on a spell of very dry weather, the crow tried to put its neck into the pitcher, as it were, to get some water. But the water was at the bottom of the pitcher, and the neck of the pitcher was very narrow and very tall, so the crow could not reach into the water. And so what the crow had to do was it managed to find some pebbles, put the pebbles into the pitcher, as it were, and as he added more pebbles, the water started to rise up the pitcher, and the crow was able to get the drink that it needed. Now, it is said that necessity is the mother of invention. And often change only happens when we have no other option but to change. Now, 2020, if it's shown us anything, is that change has been forced upon us, whether we like it or not, and we've literally have had to adapt to the events of the last 12 months. And for those of you who are part of the church here at MPC, we've had, and as is the case of many churches as well at this time, we've had to change our approach to Sunday worship. We've had to have online gatherings or online worship. During our corporate worship, which we're very blessed to resume, we've had to do social distancing. We've had to change our approach to our midweek activities. Our Bible studies have had to go online, as our prayer meetings as well. Our children's work have had to go on Zoom, and that's changed. We've had to introduce new technology, live stream being one of them. Some changes we've had to delay. There were some community work that we're looking to get involved with last year, but that's had to delay due to COVID. And it's forced, in many ways, it's forced us to change our approach as a church in terms of our involvement in our reach to community families. We've through our children's and youth and children's work, we've had to make a stronger emphasis upon reaching into the families, helping them, providing them through the pandemic, doing what we can practically as best as we can. And so, and even with our work within schools to help alleviate children getting back into schools. It's been a year that's brought losses, but also gains in terms of a wider reach and impact and influence. And also, I think the last 12 months have been a year that have caused us to reevaluate those things that are really important. If anything, 2020 has taught us to value things like relationships, kindness, love, prayer, God's presence. And so as we come out of lockdown and things start to unlock, as we come into 2021, we need to hold on to the things that are good and that are important, and that in fact the last 12 months have taught us those things that are important, while continuing to venture into the new. And so for all of those who've been part of the church and part of the church family here at MPC, I want to just thank you for your patience, thank you for your support. It's been a challenging year for everyone, particularly for those who've lived on their own. And for all of those who have gone that extra mile and made personal sacrifices to make things work in the last year. But most of all, I just want to thank you just for your prayers, for your support, for your giving, and for just being there and just turning up. And so with these changes and with the challenges of this last year, what I wanted to do is just share with you something of the vision that I have for the church and where I see the church going. And recently, the church council, we met together earlier on this year, and we just had a blue sky evening, and we just dreamed about where we felt that God was leading us as a church and where we would like to be in 2 or 3 years from now. And I wanted just to share a little bit of that, and maybe just talk through some of the changes that we're going to be looking to implement, particularly over this coming year, as we move forward. Before we do so, I want to just read to you some of the words that I shared at my induction 3 years ago when we started at this church. And I said that my dream is that MPC will become a healthy, vibrant church that loves God, loves each other, commits to learning, serves with our gifts, engages our community, fulfilling both the cultural mandate of the gospel and meeting the needs of the poor and helping the poor, but also the evangelistic mandate of the gospel and leading people to Christ, where our worship, our community, our growth into maturity, our ministry, and our engagement is a witness. A church that is Bible-believing and Spirit-filled. A church that is intergenerational for the parent and the child, for the grandparent and the grandchild. A church that is bold and daring, expecting and attempting great things for God. A church that is innovative in fulfilling the mandate. And a church that makes God's praise glorious. Bottom line, if someone is to ask me, what is the vision of this church? It's, in one word, it's simple. People. Okay, the vision is people. And the vision is to see people encounter Christ and grow in their relationship with Christ and have a deep, transformative relationship with Jesus. And so, as I mentioned recently, as a church leadership, we spent some time just praying and dreaming where God would have us in a few years, both in our wider community and as our church family. And I believe that when we think of where God has us as a church, that we need to build our church and build and think of the adjustments that we need to make from the outside in, as it were. We need to think of the people that we're seeking to reach and make adjustments in the light of that. And so given this, I just want to share with you just a few things where I see us as a church in a few years. But as part of our community work, I see us having a drop-in cafe, and that acts as a point of contact for families in our community. And as we build those relationships with those families, as we make those connections, we can start to provide services that help meet some of the tangible needs of our community. So we would like to provide a food and a clothing bank, a soup kitchen, a counseling service, maybe on money management, issues of domestic abuse, mental health, parental support. And alongside that, we recognize the central and key role that both our children's work and a youth ministry plays. Our tots and our all-stars have opened doors in our community and building relationships with our families, in our youth ministry, and our connections with schools where a door has opened for that in the last year. I want us to provide a place for young people where they can connect with each other and they can connect with God. You know, every year as a church we do 3 family outreaches, and Easter and summer and Christmas. And those are key events that were just key outreach events where we have fun and, just present God's love and the message of the gospel in a very practical way. And our cafe church evenings provide opportunity for people to invite people to come along, where they get opportunity to have a testimony night, maybe a movie night. And on the back of these, we have our Alpha courses. And, all these outreach aspects of what I seek and we see as a church council for us to be involved in over the next 3 years is really about making our presence felt in the community, meeting felt needs in our community, and making Jesus known through simple acts of kindness. One of the most important messages I felt that was given to us as a church last year was by John Partington. And he just gave a word to us as a church about a simple message on kindness. And I generally feel that that is a word for us as a church in just being a church that expresses God's kindness into our community. However, our community involvement feeds into the life and to the growth of our church, both in our corporate Sunday worship and our life groups. And our corporate worship and our life groups play an integral role in helping people connect with God in a very tangible and real way, and also connect with each other. Our life groups play a key role in building relationships and helping people express their gifts. And I know that the last 12 months, our life groups have taken something of a back seat due to COVID. But I'm a great believer in their value in helping people connect with each other and look at how we apply God's word into our daily lives. Also, you'll notice that in the book of Acts that the church met in their homes, life groups, but also in their temple courts. And so our corporate worship provides opportunity for inspirational worship, Bible-based life application teaching, prayer for the sick. And, I believe that the key both in our corporate worship and in our life groups is for the whole church to be growing in a love for God, a love for each other, learning from God's word, learning how to put it into practice in our lives, providing a safe place for healing, and where we all can grow and minister in the gifts that God has for us. And also a church where we feel comfortable inviting the outsider to experience and to hear God's message. And so just from a practical point of view, that does mean that particularly over this year, there's going to be some tangible changes in how we do things. We're going to do some renovation in the church building here. We're going to change the upper room and the minor hall, and we're going to bring some changes in that. There's going to be a lot of work going to be done to that, so to help fulfill those objectives and what we're looking to accomplish over the coming years. And so, if you happen to visit us as a visiting member, from the outside coming into us over this coming year, expect that things will be in a lot of transition. We are going to be working through a number of changes as we implement that over this coming year. And so that's kind of just gives you a bit of a flavour of what we're hoping to achieve and what we're looking to accomplish over these coming years, but with some specific changes to this building in this coming year. Now, listen, if you're not part of this church, thank you for putting up with us so far and actually listening to this bit of a vision cast over this coming year. But if you're not a part of the church and would like to be part of a church that is seeking to make a difference in its community, then I'd be privileged if you would deeply honored if you would consider coming along and maybe just visiting us, and maybe if you want to just kind of suss us out, you can do that. But if you're looking for somewhere to be part of and be getting planted and getting connected, the invite is open. If you're already in the church, serve that, get behind the leadership, get behind the pastor, do what God's called you to do. All the churches in the Mansfield area are part of God's collective whole in meeting the wider needs of Mansfield. But as I said, if you're looking for somewhere to be part of, then we're more than welcome to be part of this church. I want to thank the church members for their prayer and their support and their giving over the years. But I also kind of want to ask you to consider what you could be part of and how you could be involved in this church as we move forward. And for those of you who are church members or who maybe just want to be considering part of the church, there will be some welcome cards available, some connect cards available, where there's some areas of interest that you can just take, as it were, and give it to myself and to Barbara and the church here, and to express your interest in a particular area of service. So maybe you would like to volunteer your time to help in the youth and children's work, maybe in the area of media and creative arts. Maybe you'd like to be part of our first impressions team or our welcome team. Maybe you have a gift of hospitality, and you like to be involved in the catering side of things of the church. Maybe you have a background as a tradesperson and you can help do some practical work in renovating the church building here. That would be much appreciated. Maybe you would love to give your time to help in a drop-in cafe and to make some important connections to the people that we're seeking to reach. Maybe you are a tech geek. Okay, you are just one of those guys who just loves computers and video, all that stuff, and you like to get involved with our media outlet and our streaming services. Maybe you'd like to be part of a life group, or maybe even lead one. Maybe you'll be interested in running an alpha. Hey, listen, we have a big vision here. There's much to be involved in. Get connected. Get your name down for an area of service and ministry. We'd love to get you involved and be part of that. Hey, listen, thank you so much for listening to this Visioncast Tuesday night MPC Bible study, though, and hope that you've enjoyed this. But listen, what's important is this: if you're not part of the church, get connected, serve, use the gifts that God has given you. You cannot express your full potential as a believer of Christ if you are not connected to a church. It doesn't matter whether it's us or whether it's someone else. Get connected and serve God in your local fellowship. Hey, have a great rest of the evening. See you later.